Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be about cultural appropriation and cultural exchange. As this month on Winter's Bloom we're looking at the themes of sharing gifts and healing, I feel like this topic is literally the perfect embodiment of both aspects of the theme of the month. So this video, what I intend for it to be, is not my personal opinions per se about the topic. I don't really want it to be a place of debate as much as I would like it to be a place of understanding and kind of acknowledging what the facts are. So I'm going to try and make this as neutral as possible. Of course, I do have my own views on the topic, which if you're interested to know what they are, I will link some blog posts and another video that I made about 3-4 years ago now. But I just want this to be an informative, quick video. So we're going to get straight into it. I always find that in situations like this, where there is a lot of debate around what things mean and what is right and wrong, it's always good to depart from a definition. So what is cultural appropriation? There is, quite frankly, no universal understanding, and by that what I mean is that not everyone will be on the same terms of what constitutes cultural appropriation. There is, however, an understanding of what cultural appropriation looks like, if that makes sense. So what is that exactly? Cultural appropriation is the inappropriate extraction and modification of an oppressed community's customs, practices, rituals, cultural items. It is where one culture or one society has removed something which is of cultural significance or cultural sensitivity from another society or from another community and has modified the way in which they're using it. In terms of whether we can classify an act as cultural appropriation or not, it is really difficult because, as I said before, there is no universal benchmark, at least currently, that exists to say that we are all on the same page of what classifies cultural appropriation and not. And I believe that's made difficult for two reasons. The first one being that we live in an increasingly globalized world. We're so interconnected with, the media, with technology, with everything, with travel now, that people are interacting at a quicker and more intimate pace than ever before in human history, I think. And with that comes these exchanges of ideas, of beliefs, of cultures, of items. The second thing that makes it very hard to create a benchmark is really pertaining to the question of who is the gatekeeper of cultures and who has the right to say that an exchange of an item, a belief, a custom, is being done on equal terms or if it's not. I mean, each and every one of us in our own ways are gatekeepers to our own cultures. And even within a family unit, something that is a wider cultural custom or celebration, it definitely gets its own characteristic and its own tone and shape when it's brought into the family house. And when it mixes again with, for example, my household, a different culture. I've grown up in a biracial household, and a lot of the things that are Italian have mixed with those Gambian elements, and just being born in Britain as well. So now that we've touched on cultural appropriation, I want to touch upon cultural exchange. What is the difference between cultural appropriation and cultural exchange? Well, cultural exchange is quite simply where there is a mutual acknowledgement that two cultures or two societies, two communities, are coming together and are mutually exchanging, agreeing to exchange their customs, their practices, their objects in a relationship of equality. So what's key here is having equality and not having a history of oppression by one community to the other. So what this tends to mean is that Western cultures and Western communities that have some sort of exchange with other cultures that have historically been colonized by those same communities, those same Western communities or societies, tend to have the exchange on an unequal footing. And sometimes that's explicit and it's obvious, and other times it's subtle, and it really requires us to think about what those power dynamics are at play and what is the history that precedes that interaction. So those are the two key terms that I wanted to introduce to you guys in case you have never heard of them before, or in case you're kind of unclear of what the meaning is, because I do think, as I said, cultural appropriation in particular has kind of taken on so many different forms based on subjective understanding of what it means. So it's always good, in my opinion, to depart from what is the recognized objective understanding of a definition and then work from there. To close, I want to share a passage from this book I've been reading, which is The Good Immigrant. It's a collection of essays about people's experiences being an immigrant, a migrant in the UK. I'm only about 4 chapters in, but already the theme of cultural appropriation is laced within all of these essays that I've read so far. So I would definitely recommend it. I think we're going to have a full book review coming up with this. I also suggested Natasha to read it, and maybe we can have either a podcast or a talk about it, because it has been a good book so far. But the passage that I want to draw from is from Shumen Suleiman's essay, My Name is My Name. And the extract begins. One evening, my father drove me to yoga. It was a practice then new to me, and in the freshly painted walls of an old Frinsby Park clothes factory, a white woman with long hair would unfold and bend until we repeated her motions. It was as I stepped from the car that my father said, "Your grandmother used to work here." Here, my mother's mother would stitch clothes behind a sewing machine with Turkish women who had only wanted from life the privilege of work. Some decades later, I was rolling a mat out, as one rolls the carpet of gentrification over our ancestors' footprints, onto the floor of a room of exercising white bodies. I remember laughing when the instructor closed her eyes and placed her mouth in a way to make the sound. Others followed, and I thought how easy saying things came to them without understanding their essential nature. Words, names, and their noises are careless in England. They are not put to use in the same way that obstructed communities have learnt to pronounce every violence put upon us as though it is sacred. We carry our trauma in every word that we say. The 3 religions that this chant spread across did not exist in the instructor's mouth. Spirituality cannot be borrowed. Religion belongs to the cultures we are brought up in, and cannot be studied and replicated without family. There is no without Indian dharmas, as there is no Allah without Islam, nor pull-up without UK garage, or 2 hands coming together to form a W without Wu-Tang. That is to say, you cannot have meaning without knowledge of the environment from which it stems. This woman was not speaking of the infinite, the world, the truth. What she meant was, this is a calming noise for you. This helps you focus. This is the end of the session. It did not mean I think that passage is a good one to end this video on. It provides a lot of food for thought. So as ever, we are interested to hear what you guys have to say on the topic. Where do you line up in the debates about cultural appropriation and cultural exchange? And as ever, if you are interested in sharing your perspective and your voice, we would love to welcome it on our platform, either about the topics discussed in this video, our theme of the month, sharing gifts and healing, or anything else really that we have going on our website and on our platform. All the links will be in the description bar below, and we look forward to starting a conversation. We'll see you in the next video. Bye!